All right, everybody, talk about a headache. So, I've got my dump trailer here. I brought this out yesterday. I was going to unload this dumpster here. It's got a couple things of scrap metal in it, so I was actually going to start leaving this dumpster out here and filling with scrap metal. Makes sense, right? Easy. But I get it out here all the way, and it had some troubles with it where it was wanting to get like, it was starting to go up and then it would go, and it sounded like the pump was working. You like my sound effects there? But it sounded like it was working, but it wasn't actually doing anything. It would get stuck. So I'd take my fingers off the controllers and it would still make the noise, and then I have to go up, down, up, down, up, down until it would stop. So I knew something was wrong, but I thought I'd have a little bit to figure it out, and I was able to kind of like make it work for a little while. And then it started that day to when I would click it, nothing would happen. Then I have to click it 2 or 3 times before it start working. And I'm like, ugh, you know, I've got an electronics issue. Check my batteries. Battery voltage was high. Checked my controllers were working. So I was like, okay, something's wrong here. And there's a nice little troubleshoot thing here that comes with trailers. So this comes with most of the trailers, and it'll kind of give you an idea, but you'll notice that a lot of the troubleshooting things have a lot of the same, you know, problems. So sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out. But there's not much to these trailers. So what I did was I spent all night just trying to mess with it, clean it up, try to get things figured out. But what I did was I went to YouTube, and there's so many different versions of these pumps and so many different videos that it was actually pretty hard to figure out. But if you can get one of these, my gosh, they're like 10 bucks, Harbor Freight. These things will save you so much trouble. So follow me here as best you can. It's going to be kind of hard to do with one hand, but we'll see what we can do. If you ever have this type of trouble, go ahead, ground your test light, and what you should notice is when you connect this button here, or connect this here, you should get a light. That means power is going to it. You should also check, you know, your terminals. Your terminals, that's your negative, so you're not going to get anything. Positive, you'll get something. If you're getting power here, well, you got other problems. But what you're going to notice is you get power here. This, I believe, is a ground, but I'm not actually entirely sure. And then right here, you don't get power, but excuse my reach. What I'm going to try to do here is hit the button. When you hit the button, ooh, see that? I'm trying to do this one hand, guys. You get power. So the way I was able to figure out my solenoid was broken was when I was hitting that button, I was getting no power. So that is how I was able to figure out I had an ultimate problem. And how I actually figured it out, which it wasn't that the right way to do it, and you should not do it, is because that's exactly why this cap is here, was when I would cross I'd cause an arc right here, and all of a sudden my pump would start working. So I knew my pump wasn't broken. And from what I've read, these things do not break very often. So that was one way I was able to figure out. There are other ways to diagnose these where, you know, if your pump's going up but not down, you can actually fiddle with the up down switch, and you'll actually feel some magnetism that's happening within these. So that's a completely different diagnosis. But if you're hitting that button and this bad boy right here is not lighting up, I would almost guarantee you that your solenoid is broken. So there is just a quick demonstration of what happens when you troubleshoot everything. And 9 times out of 10 though, guys, it'll actually be your batteries are way too low. So always check those first before you fiddle and start pulling things apart. I see that all the time. People mess around, and then they find out their batteries weren't actually charged. So in this whole COVID area, let's blame COVID, why we don't have things in stock. I went to the trailer dealership here in town, which I believe actually services one of my competitors. So he wasn't super nice. And I was kind of starting to freak out because I'm like, I have 2 drops today. I have 1 pickup. And the best news of all, my skidster just came in. So I am pumped. My skid is in. I am so excited to go get it. But now I have a different problem. Because the trailer guy wasn't the friendliest and wasn't actually going to help me diagnose it, he wanted to make an appointment, and you know, which I get, I totally get. Everybody's got to make their money, but he didn't even want to walk outside and take a look at this thing. He wasn't doing anything. He was literally sitting on his butt, and I'm just like, okay. So I'm telling you what the problem is. He's like, I was like, do you think you might have this solenoid in stock? He's like, I don't know, probably not. You know, things are so crazy right now. It might take a while too. I'm just like, he wouldn't even go outside to look at it. And I was like, this is not helpful. So I took things upon myself. I am lucky. I went to my shop, and wouldn't you know, same exact solenoid is actually on my dump, or my tilt deck flatbed. So of course this is the trailer that I wanted to use to load my brand new skid steer on. Well, I guess I'll have to order it. Hopefully, you know, Amazon's got one of these and I can get it in like 2 days. But yeah, that was lucky. So I yanked that bad boy off this morning after messing with my other one way too much last night. And now I'm working. I'm back in business. So got lucky today. That's all I can say. I actually tried at first to use what was a 7.3. So this came off of a Ford 7.3 diesel. I recognized this bad boy, which is kind of your starter solenoid slash, I believe this could also be used as a glow plug solenoid or glow plug regulator. There may be a difference, I'm not actually sure. The problem was, the one that I picked up has a base ground, and this one might as well. This might not be a ground, guys, so you know, go in the comments and tell me what this wire is. But I believe this is a ground, just as this could be a ground as well. But according to what I read, this base also needs to be grounded as well, and there was no good way for me to mount it on there. And you know what, I tried it every which way and I could not get it to work. So yeah, this one did not work. I've seen guys use other truck solenoids and tractor solenoids with different mounting brackets. It just didn't work for me. So in a pinch, you might be able to go to your car dealership and actually find one of these that does work. I just wasn't able to get this one in particular to work. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but oh well. You know what? I am just glad that I am back up and running. So what I'm gonna do now is put all of this back together, get on the road, and get a couple dumpsters taken care of so that I can go pick up a skid. I'm so pumped, guys. I am so excited. Oh, I've been waiting for this thing forever. I've kind of annoyed the salesman. I almost went out and made a reckless decision to just buy a different one, buy a bigger one, spend more money, but I really didn't need to do that. So I'm stoked. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up. I'm gonna get my butt moving, and I'm gonna get this day going. So best of luck to you guys. If you guys have this happen before you go to the shop and spend a bunch of money letting somebody diagnose your issue, just take a look at that solenoid first, because I would bet it could be a big culprit. Just show you the kind of stuff I deal with on a daily basis. Check this out. So this is like the 9th or 10th dumpster these people have used, and so I've been really generous, giving them a good deal. You know, they're keeping it longer than my typical rate, or at least at the price, and this is an example of giving people an inch, taking a mile, because they've rented the dumpster. Again, you know, I appreciate the business. You know, 9th, 10th dumpster in this very small apartment, but every time I come over here, it's just heaping, and the camera doesn't really do it justice because I just winched that all down. But there's like 2 mattresses sticking out of the back, carpet hanging off the sides. The thing is stuffed. Every single one of them has been like that. The last one was like just full of 2-liter bottles and cardboard on the very top, and I mean like heaping over it. So of course, this is like me spending time tarping it, and it is not worth it. This is probably the last time I'll actually do this for them. I think this is luckily their last dumpster, but it's just, they paid a 1-day price and then just kept asking to keep it longer and longer, and I was being too nice, and this is what happens. Sometimes there is such thing as too nice guys. You you got to find that fine line. I just can't wait to get this out of here, and hopefully I don't get stuck just trying to get it out of here. We'll see. So I can't stress this enough. When you're in a self-employed, manual labor, blue-collar service offering job, you need to have just like drive, because it's really easy to just be like, I'm done. Too many things have gone wrong at once. I'm done. Don't want to do it. And I don't know if it's that I'm incredibly unlucky but lucky, or if I'm just, I don't know, very resourceful. I think that's probably the number one quality you need to do a job like this, is literally just be resourceful and be ready to MacGyver anything to just get the job done. Because in this instance, the idea that it popped in my head, hey, I have another one of these trailers. I have so many things to do today. I need to just get that part off of this thing and put it on this thing and make it work. And then I'll go back and fix that thing later. Because here, of course, now I just got a message that says that my skid's ready. And oddly enough, I can't pick it up for 2 days because, you know, the place needs to service it, make sure everything, you know, from the manufacturer checks out. You know, they go through their checklist, and then they can deliver it to me or hand it off to me to pick up. But the funny thing is, it's like, okay, well, now my other trailer doesn't work. So that's hilarious. The flatbed that I would typically go haul something like that with is now taken apart so I could make my other one work. So of course, boom, Amazon. It's gonna be here in a day. Pretty nice. So I will have my part in 1 day. It gives me a day to put it on, and then my trailer's up and down, and I'm working to haul my butt over to pick up that skid from the dealer. So I think it's a combination of I am incredibly unlucky lucky, and again, you just got to be resourceful, guys, and just go with the flow. Because as soon as you start trying to go against stuff, and just like, you know, you stop moving because something is pushing against you, you're going to fall behind. You need to continue to push forward even when everything else seems like it's falling apart. There's resources all over the place. You need to network with people that can help you when you get in a bind like this. You need to have, if you're a lawn guy, you need to have people you know that can help you out in a pinch. If you have any kind of heavy equipment, you need to know hydraulic guys, people who know winches like the back of their hand, people who know trucks, everything. Electrical is huge, because when I was pulling that thing apart, all I could do is basically take a picture of it and go, well, this is how I'm going to put it back together, because I don't know anything about electric engineering. So tap the shoulders of the people you do know those things. So all right, that's it for now. Let's go see what else is going to go wrong today. We did get that dumpster emptied. That couch, by the time I actually got to the dump, the funny thing is the straps that I had holding down the couch literally were just dangling off the side of the dumpster, because they weren't actually holding anymore, because as I drove down the road, of course, everything shifted a little bit. So I had 2 straps that were just dangling off the side of my dumpster. Luckily, nothing flew off. I had a tarp, you know, over top everything, which I guess did its job. So just go with the flow, all see what else goes wrong. How's it going, guys? We're getting towards the end of the day. It's been a good day. Good or bad day turned good, and I always like that. So I just had a little bit of time. I'm about to drop off a dumpster, and had a little downtime every once in a while now, so I wanted to get some just things worked out. So I worked on the trailer a little bit earlier, like I told you. So I also had this 20 yard available. And the thing about these 20 yards, so the dealership calls them a 20 yard. Just like they call these over here, they'll call them 14 yards, but really that's like 13.63 yards, but dealer references them as 14 usually, depending on your dealer. Take that with a grain of salt. And that's how I advertise them, 14 yards. Well, this one, when I originally bought it, they would advertise it as a 20 yard dumpster. It's about 6 feet tall, probably 14 feet long. And so when I originally bought it, they advertised it as 20 yards. So I advertised it as 20 yards. I didn't go in there with a tape measure and then do the calculations to figure it out. Well, lo and behold, one of my competitors, who is a total negative Nancy, he always has something bad to say about me. And this one guy was talking to me who actually used me, because the guy went on so bad, like so much about how much he didn't like me and all this stuff, and how people are gonna probably slash my tires because I'm just undercutting them. And I was like, whatever, man. But anyway, he told the guy that there's no way I'm offering 20-yard dumpsters. He said those aren't 20-yard dumpsters. They don't even manufacture those for that size trailer. So this dude's really looked into me more than I expected. And well, I went through and I'm like, this dude's crazy. So I went and I looked, and you know what? They do make 20-yard dumpsters, but for a different trailer. So these are actually technically like 18.6 yards or something like that. Again, the dealership still sometimes references them as 20 yards. So you know what? I was like, I don't really care. So I went ahead and I added another foot to it. And if you do the math, 14 times 2, 28, added another 5 feet to the side, and then I'm not going to do all this math for you. You actually divide that by 27, and you actually get your square feet, which actually puts you at like 2.5 yards. I might have said feet earlier, but 2.5 additional yards by adding these sides. And so that puts me above 20 yards. And you know what? I'm kind of happy with that, because at least then I feel like I'm actually offering people that full 20 yards, even though in the entire time I've been doing this for over 2 years, only one customer has come and said, there's no way that's 20 yards. There's no way. There's no way that's 20 yards. And you know what? He still used me because I was the better price, and he only filled it up halfway. Not even halfway. That was the funny part. He was complaining about the size, and even he was still nice, but he complained about the size, and then he only filled it up halfway anyway. So that was kind of funny. So now I've got this additional foot for everybody that comes free of charge. It cost me about $170 in lumber, but I still felt like I should do it because, well, it's just a little bit more people can put in, even though I really would rather they not put any more in here. And I guess I can say I have a true 20-yard dumpsters. But again, just a little bit of problem solving for the day. I felt like I wanted to get something done, and I did. And you make that back in no time. 150 bucks, you rent it out, it's going to pay for itself. And it's just one other thing that somebody else isn't offering. So I got to drop off. I'm actually taking this. I wanted to do this because I have a commercial customer I'm taking it to. And with the commercial customers, you want to be as accurate as you possibly can. The residents really don't care. But so now this thing is a total of 7 feet tall. So I'm going to go ahead, get this thing over there, drop it off, and move on to the next thing.